path of great people, an amazing example of unique personalities, sincere conversations with favorite artists. All of this you can find in the Daraboz project. In the Daraboz studio, you will learn about a deep analysis, valuable opinions, authoritative judgments from prominent figures.
Hello everyone, from me and the poet-improviser, my brother-in-law, and now the TV presenter, Jandarbek Bulgakov.
You have so praised me, Zhenge.
Because you deserve praise.
And as for you, you are a social media star, a network marketing activist, a poet-improviser performing on celebrations, my brother's love, my Zhenge, and so on.
Well, I think it's time to start the program.
Hello, dear viewers.
Today our guest is the poet Shomishbay Sariev.
Shomishbay Nagashybayuly Sariev was born in 1946 in the Aral district of the Kyzylorda region.
Жандар төніп жүрегім жанғанша, қақтым қанатым талғанша, мен өлмеймін өмірде, мен тірімін, жер бетінде бір қазақ қалғанша деп.
Gafu Kaiyrbekov called him a two-winged poet. Contemporaries admired his talent. Joly is a very creative, talented person with a sense of humor. That's why I like him. Each work of the poet is a treasure not only of Kazakh poetry, but also of Kazakh musical culture. Welcome, Shomishbay Aga. For many years, you have been working as a poet. You have taken your own special place. Do you remember your first poems? I wrote poems when I was in the 5th grade. I offered these lines to the district newspaper, and they were published. And one line there was added by the department head, Sagandik Turdaliyev. When he saw me, he was amazed. When I learned about the name of Shomishbay, I thought, you are an old man, but you're quite a young man. Apparently, he considered that he was dealing with an old person after hearing your unusual name. Girls laughed when they met, when I introduced myself to them. And then when the girls asked what my name was, I advised them to laugh first. The poet Iran Gaib once said, I went to the Aral, and there is a station, Shomish. Joly, you can safely die. Your name is immortalized. And who gave you such a name? Before me, 3 brothers died soon after birth. After that, my mother was not invited to the celebration held in honor of the newborn, believing that she would bring misfortune. And then grandmother, named Bibi, had a dream. Our ancestor, Batur Sartai, advised that my mother name me in honor of Saint Shomish. They say, then I will live. So they called me Shomishbay. Now, there are 7 of us, and all of us are alive.
At school, were you a naughty student or an excellent student?
I wouldn't hurt a thing.
A mild-tempered child.
I was a pioneer. I started at a secondary school in Toktamysova, around the lake, near the sea. Living in such a picturesque corner, I wrote poetry. The principal of the school was Aral Sariev. He taught mathematics. He told me, if you do not succeed in mathematics, I will be ashamed because of one last name. And I used to receive only excellent marks in mathematics. In the 7th grade, I left home and never returned. I arrived in Almaty, came to the Writers' Union. I showed my verses to Sabit Mukhanov. I had no passport, and they did not allow me to stay at the hotel. I spent the night in the wagon on the railway. I filed documents. I could stay there, but there were always fights. And I took the documents, left for Kyzylorda, and entered the medical school. I wanted to become a doctor. And you fulfilled your dream. I went to study, sent poems to the newspaper Lenin's Way.
All this in the 7th grade.
Yes. Then I was taught by Tungyshbay Zhamankulov. You graduated from college? No. Once we went to Zhalagash to weed rice. One girl was reading a newspaper and suddenly said, "One of us is a poet." It turned out that my poems were printed with a photograph. In the introductory note, they wrote that one guy came to the editor with good poems. And at the end it is said, Shomishbay, future doctor. Your first poems were evaluated by Sabit Mukhanov, Zainullah Shukurov. And who would you note among young poets? Whose works do you like? I will not name poet improvisers. Among the new generation of poets are Yesengali Raushanov, Baurjan Jakub. Working in the Joly magazine, I decided to print 15 Kazakh poets. I searched and found wonderful poets. All 15 reached a high level. These are Amantai Sharipov, Kazbek Isa, Baurjan Sharipov. Great. Now I pay attention to young songwriters. Among them, I would like to mention the good and promising poet Kalkaman Sarin.
Your early poems, which formed the basis of the songs, are now very popular. People are singing them.
Canım jırga, evveli benim munga, men izleben daladan, sen meni sağındın ba.
I started writing lyrics for songs after 7 of my books were released. Perhaps the good fees of a professional poet were higher, but for me, songwriter was not so important. In the description of the songs, sometimes the names of the authors of the text were not given. By the way, a few words about songs. There are a lot of high-quality, beautiful songs by talented authors. Name 5 singers who harmonize both words and music.
Top 5 according to Shomishbay.
Let's arrange a hit parade. I do not want to offend anyone. After all, they are singers with excellent favorite songs. I will name only one. Good. Is 1 equal to 5? There is a great singer who has become famous throughout the world. Dimash.
Büyük şundar basındağı Şanırdan da büyükse
Димаштың әкесі де
Dimash's parents were singers in tamasha. For example, Kairat Nurtas. At first, his song about the heart was not accepted well.
Ağurmaydı жүрек, ağurmaydı Sensiz ötken günler bolmasa
But over time, people liked it. The peculiarity of the songs is that you think that they will become a hit, but it doesn't work out.
It turned out a very interesting interview about creativity. In general, a creative person is separated from his family. And what kind of father and grandfather is Shomishbay Agha?
Kadir Mirzaliyev once said on a celebration of my son, I believed that Shomishbay doesn't go home at all. It turns out that he cares about the family. All three of my sons wrote poems and stories. Wonderful. Do they follow in your footsteps? Then I told them, if you write well, it will turn out as if I wrote them to you. If it's bad, then I'll be ashamed. One is enough in the family. But I also said that I will bring up one of my grandchildren as a poet.
Жеті өзенді, жеті судай салалы, Сарақаның самалындай самалы, дүрілдетіп тембіренген даланы, бамамыздың күніренген зарындай, жайығымнан жайлап аққан жанындай, даламыздың қайнап аққан қанындай, Қазағымның келер ай.
Shomishbay Agha, let's talk about the entertainment show Tamasha. You have been a screenwriter there for many years.
Not so long, only 10 years.
10 years is a lot. It seems to me that writing satire is much more difficult than poetry. Am I wrong?
It's not easy to make people laugh. We were given a fee, but authorship was not recognized. It is an instruction by the Central Committee, and it seemed to the people that Kaiyrbekov Sultanbayev, Tungyshbay Zhamankulov, said on the stage what they themselves came up with. He wrote us jokes according to our style, some prose, some poems. He started the topic that we touched on and wrote a script in order. He also writes lyrics for songs and does it pretty quickly. He writes beautifully, harmoniously with music. I enjoy what he's doing. His works are great.
өзі мына бұл фәниге дүниеге келтіргендер кімдер өзі кім келтірді әке шешем немене мен бір капустаның түбінен тауып алды деп ойлайсың
He wrote the great poem Actor in 1520 stanzas. He turned to Kenneth Duysekev, who wrote music for them.
Көңілдер құлатса шөл боламыз Келегей кейде шалқып көл боламыз Түсінер біреу бізді түсінбесте Ағайын актер деген ел боламыз
Tamasha was a folk show, and the reason is that the heroes were the wife or husband, brother-in-law or sister-in-law. Everything is taken from life. After all, everyone has such relatives. Fits the identity of the Kazakh people. This is the national color of the show, and the audience liked it.
Ол енді сол жұт жылы туып ашаршылық кезде өскен адамда не бір қауқар бар дейсің, иә. Дегенмен де қыздарым қияда, оңлым ұяда деуіне қарағанда аса әлсіз де болмауы мүмкін, иә. Мейлі ғой маған бәрібір.
I also wrote the script for Asia Dausi, Voice of Asia, The Golden Apple, then it was called, for Murat Yurgaliyev, Alexander Ponomaryov. The names of the authors were not mentioned then. Soldier of the Invisible Front. After about 10 years, I jokingly told Lukman Yesenov that I was no longer writer for the show. Then I said, listen, as I stopped writing the script, Tamasha got worse, and he agreed. Shomishbay, let's talk about identity, Kazakh satire. At that time, Tamasha was the only entertainment show, and now their number has increased. We had a hit parade of songs. Are there any satirical theaters that you like? I mean the modern ones. I really like Shanshar. And also I like Baurjan show.
Somen aytör iterip jolga çıgarıp aneke iterip gel жатыр, мен енді болмайды өрілді бір адам отыру керек. Анeke iterip бір рахаттандым бір адам. Бір өмірімде бір ақымды алғандай болдым, Құдай береке. Ана енемнің тілі салбырап осы кіндігіне дейін жетті бір қарасам.
Baurjan and Toksin came to us when they were very young. Baurjan said, Shoke, write us a good text. We focused on Tungyshbay and Kaiyrbekov, and later we began to focus on Baurjan.
Sizden gözünüzden men gelgende bulay ıstırlay ditkende men inkeyip kaldım.
And then Baurjan revealed his potential, reached a high level, and Baurjan show is now a very good theater. You brought your works to the studio. There are also translations into Russian, into foreign languages. Tell us about creations that have spread abroad. Give me this book. At one time, Sher Aga brought our team to the region and promised, introducing the people as Oralkhan Bukeyev as the head of Department of Prose, Sagat Ashimbayev as the head of Department of Criticism, Shomishbay Sariev as the head of Department of Poetry. After my performance, one old man stood up and asked, "You are in charge of the poetry department. How many people do you have subordinate to?" And then Sheraga answered him, "Under the leadership of Shomishbay Sariev, all Kazakh poets." While working in the poetry department, I translated the book of the poet Mikhail Eminescu. The translation was printed in newspapers and magazines. Gradually, it was forgotten. A new era began. Embassies appeared in Almaty city. Once, the Romanian ambassador, Marin, called and asked if he could come to my home or if I could visit the embassy. I decided that it would be uncomfortable to have them at home as guests, and I went to them. It turned out that they were celebrating the 150th anniversary of the famous poet Mikhail Eminescu, whose works I translated. So that was the celebration. Wonderful. And you were invited. Yes, I was, as an honored guest at the anniversary. And for the first time, I was next to the world poets. Was it in Romania? What year? It was after gaining independence. I read the poem, "What Can I Wish You, Romania?" There was a pause, and then I got standing ovations. People stood up from their seats. I traveled half the world. An international forum dedicated to Kazakhstan poetry was held in New York City. We went with a delegation of 18 people. We were welcomed. That was my first trip to the United States of America. A preliminary list of 200 poets and writers was sent there. Of these, they selected 7 poets and 7 prose writers. From prose writers, there were Gabit Musrepov, Mukhtar Magawin, Aral Bokeyev. Among the poets, Olja Suleymanov, Mukhagali Makatayev, and I. There I presented my new book, Greetings, Motherland. So the presentation was abroad. Great! In the Soviet period, we traveled only to 15 republics. Only those who wrote in Russian were sent abroad.
Мен бармын өлең үшін адасуға, жетсем деп халқым үшін санасуға, ақын боп жырдағыттым жүрегіммен Италия, Рома, Рим қаласында.
France hosts the international festival, Spring of Poets. Olja Suleymanov said that 3 would go, me, he, and Nurlan Orazalin. We have gone. Our poems were read by actors on the stage. Foreign, yes. At the same time, an orchestra was playing in the background. Listening to all of this, we could not believe that our poems have been reading. Amazing. Shomishbay, you said that at one time the names of the authors were not called on the air. Nevertheless, thanks to fruitful work, your works have become famous not only in our country, but also have gained recognition abroad. Viewers see how many books you have. I suggest you read some lines from them to dilute our conversation.
We have a tradition. Jandarbek and I don't let the guests leave the program until we receive a gift.
Just one poem.
I'd love to listen.
Read one thing, please. My State. Written after declaring independence.
Ағордадан бастап шекараға дейін, аспан жерді жалғаған екі араға дейін, бұлтасқан ақиық тауларыма дейін, кең көсілген даламның аумағына дейін, менің мемлекетім, бір уыс топырағы әр тасына дейін, күңіренген үнсіз жартасына дейін, менің мемлекетім, наратан түйенің ноқтасына дейін, әрбір қазақ отбасына дейін, менің мемлекетім, жел ұйтқып, жетер сөзім жер мен күн арасына дейін, көз ашып жұмған әрбір қазақ баласына дейін, менің мемлекетім, Тәңір өзі бетін бұрғанша, жер шары қанша тұрғанша, жаса менің мемлекетім.
Excellent. Excellent. I wish you long life, more poems. Thank you very much for coming to the studio, talking about youth, and together with us, we have been in the world of literature. Creative success. Always stay in the forefront of prominent cultural figures. I would like to wish ITIS poets to improvisers. ITIS is a facial expression, body movement. You speak in public, read your poems, and then the poems remain on their own. And here, they are already responsible for themselves, not us. I would like the poets of improvisation to write the verses on paper. So that is my wish. Thank you.
Thanks, Sara.